This run should be very interesting, potentially exciting, near my old house, 3¼ Ks. I ran a PB here a few months ago, oh no, only a few weeks ago. It was only by a second though, in less than ideal conditions. So I'm looking forward to seeing how quick I can go. Hopefully quicker than ever before. Got the new shoes on, no excuses. Done. That was massive result for me. Former PB 12:37, today 12:05, 32 seconds. PB over such a short distance, and that's better than when I was at peak marathon fitness in 2012. It's better than a few weeks ago, obviously. So that is a very encouraging result. Keep getting in the kilometers, but keep working on my speed as well. A few months ago I thought I'd never be able to get back to where I was in 2012, let alone to be smashing my best from back then as well. That's a great feeling. Happy to bring you guys along for the ride too. G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. I neglected to say that in my earlier clips. You can see my featured run for the week, what I consider at this point to be a bit of an epic run from Wannabe to Warburton. That's just kicking off in the corner at the moment. If you're seeing this, that's because I realized the long featured run isn't going to fit in time-wise with the rest of my video. So the normal featured run that would be going on in the corner right now, I'm going to release separately as its own video. In my mind it is a bit of an epic run, so I suppose it does deserve a bit of its own airtime anyway. So this week, including this walk that I'm on at the moment, managed 20 kilometers walking, which is much better than the 2.5 I achieved last week and the 0 I achieved the week before. I definitely find it hard to get out for enough time walking when the kilometers running has increased so much, because it's just a big time commitment. But yeah, just made it a priority this week to get out and about a few times for a walk, not just for me but for Wilson as well. And the kilometers are just coming down a little bit in terms of running, so it just gives it a little bit more time for walking and just stretching the legs in a different way. So the 20 kilometers walking for the week, and then I think I managed 69 running kilometers. Next week that drops down into the 40s, but I'll be lifting the intensity a little bit, doing a little bit more speed work than I would normally do, and a couple of threshold or tempo runs. Don't think I might have one longer, slower day, but the rest will just be that higher intensity, getting ready for trying to run bit quicker on race day, because I know I've got obviously the fitness to run 21 Ks. It's definitely about the speed and being able to deal with the higher speeds for an hour and a half and not blowing up halfway through the race. So it was a week of good times. Gabby ran the PB on our first day of practice this week, the 2.75K course that we run pretty regularly. She ran her fastest time ever and probably like 80 attempts or something, so it was really encouraging for her. You saw at the very start of this video my run around my old streets. That was on the Tuesday. It was great to be able to run faster there than I ever have before, and by a long way too. 30 seconds is a big improvement. Then on Wednesday was the big run, 27.5 kilometers. I have been starting to think that 42 Ks, I don't know, the distance has been getting a little bit smaller in my mind. Like I can definitely do it, not easily, but that it's not that much of a big deal, until I got to about, I don't know, probably only 12 Ks into this 27K run, and then just imagining trying to keep up that intensity for another 30 kilometers. made me realize I've definitely got a lot of work in front of me. I was definitely happy with the run, happy with the time, happy that I made it, but it was also a little bit of a reality check too. The work is definitely not done. Never is, but certainly for me at this stage of my fitness, it is not. Went for a nice light jog on the Friday morning, 10 Ks. It was nearly 6 minutes per K. Just stretching the legs and getting the kilometers in. Some people refer to them as junk miles. I don't quite see it that way, but it's definitely one of those runs you're just getting done because you have to. Mine and the girls' soccer schedules allowed for a park run this week. It was my 55th, Gabby's 49th, and Clara's 48th. And just as we turned up to the start line, I was planning on taking it easy, and I just said to the girls, I actually feel like going a little bit quicker today. It was good though, just to raise the pace a lot more than I would in my own practice session. Always find a bit more speed when you're surrounded by others. So yeah, I did pretty well there. I think it was 19 minutes for the 5Ks, which, well, honestly, that's great for me, but I do know that I can do better than that. So it will be interesting to see what I can get at Lilydale in the 5K when I'm fully prepared and tapered as well for the event. At soccer on Saturday, only managed just over 9Ks for the match, so it was about a K or a K and a half down on what I've done in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, I don't know, it was just a funny old day, that one. And then did some barefoot fartlek session after the soccer, and if there's a funnier phrase in running than barefoot fartlek, I haven't heard it. I think it's just great. I'm very mature. And this morning I went out for about a 9K run as well. Wouldn't quite fall in the easy jog category, but it definitely wasn't pushing myself either. It's just a good recovery run the day after lots of sprints in a soccer game. So you might have noticed I mentioned junk miles earlier, and I definitely referenced the intensity that I run at is definitely not always as hard as I can go, and that's been a bit of a learning experience for me. When I was previously running in 2012, 13 and 14, even right up until the occasional running I was doing through the early part of 2020, I just figured if I'm going out for 3 or 4 runs in a week, the harder I go in them, the more benefit I'm going to get from it. I guess in a way it makes sense, but the moment you do any actual research into that, you find out that that is not the best way to train. Yes, you definitely need some of those higher intensity sessions, but the longer, slower runs definitely have their advantages. So there's people who talk about running or training slow in order to race fast. So that's definitely a concept that I struggled to get my head around. But as I was just running with my own daughters a lot through lockdowns last year, I definitely wasn't going as quick as I could for most of those runs. I started to realize in those jogs that it was really good for my form. I felt like it was good for my breathing, and I felt like I was able to run faster in my practices the more slower jogs I had with my daughters next to me. So I started to look into it, and turns out that's certainly the case. I'd been running pretty dumb for 9 years. In many ways I still do run dumb, but this is one thing that I've definitely improved in the last probably 6 to 12 months. So training for me now is definitely not all about speed and trying to set PBs on every run. Probably save that for once, maybe twice per week. The rest of my runs, just getting kilometers into the legs and just allowing the heart and lungs to develop and all the mitochondria to develop in the muscles, just help with that energy and oxygen transfer. There is a whole world of science behind it, and it's very easy to find out a fair bit on YouTube or high quality Google searches for those who are interested in the science behind it. But yeah, just for me, it's been an interesting learning experience, and it kind of makes running more sustainable too. Not kind of, it definitely makes running more sustainable too, because you're not going out there and killing yourself on every run. Pretty much for most of my runs now, I can keep going significantly more if I wanted to, but I do try and limit my kilometers because I don't want to overdo it at the same time, and there's only so many hours in a day as well. So my tip of the week this week is, if you are running like I used to for the last 8 or 9 or 10 years and just going flat out all the time, just drop it back significantly. You should be, as a bit of a reference point, you should be able to hold a conversation if you are running with someone. You should be able to hold a conversation if you are struggling to say more than a couple of words before you need to desperately take another breath. Then you're working at a bit of a too high intensity. It's also an exciting week for my girls. They both have division cross-country finals, and they've been running very consistently now for the last 18 months or something, running at 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week for 18 months. So it'll be great to see them in a race. We do a lot of running just together and just chatting along the way. Some of us definitely chat more than others in that group, but it'll be great to sit back and watch and see them just give their very best. No matter the result, of course, it's just about striving for your PBs, striving for a good time, and finishing the run strongly. So Gabby and Clara, I wish you the very best on your run. I'm so glad I can be there as your PE teacher. I'm very proud of you guys, and I absolutely love running with you, and I wish you the very best as you run a rare race without Dad next to you. Alrighty, well that's it for me for this week. I hope you enjoy your running this week, and thanks for watching the Wannabe Runner, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye.